This morning from the Manitoba World War I Museum, Bruce Tascona with us. Bruce, welcome here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here promoting our event,
And
our annual event.
Annual event, A Day in the Trenches, and
Exactly.
This is an annual event, but the last 2 years, no event. It's
Oh.
exciting that we're back.
You're darn right. It was a total bust. We did all this preparation for both years in a row. We never knew that this pandemic would last so long, and it was so we're quite excited that we're able to host this again.
And so for those that maybe don't remember what A Day in the Trenches is, talk about what happens there just outside of La Riviere.
Well, the visitors, when they arrive, they'll be greeted with, we'll call it a womb-to-tomb strategy for the Canadian soldier, how he was recruited from the farms or from the cities, and he went and joined the army, learned how to march and drill and all those things, and carries it on to the deadly business of learning how to fire rifles and dealing with the bayonet, and also learning how to cope with gas warfare and the incessant sniper fire while living in the trenches, and the casualties, the horrific casualties that Manitoba and Canada suffered in the Great War. From there, we'll take the soldiers, the visitors, and they'll observe the soldiers, these living history presenters wearing period costume. They'll go over the top, and there'll be a little bit of gunplay, but everybody will be in a safe distance. It's all blanks, and they will attack the trench. And from there, when the battle is over, the visitor will go and see the area that's where the hospital is. We have a field hospital set up where they will see how they dealt with the casualties.
And so this is going to be, not only looking at photos and artifacts, there's going to be an actual demonstration. These things people are going to be able to really see it.
And question and seriously question the presenters. And we have some from the other side. We have a group coming from the States, and they are doing representing the German side of it. So you'll be able to ask some insightful questions on even though it's probably the same equipment we're showing, the different type of gas mask or the different type of helmet or the different rifle, but it's all the business ends of what happened in the First World War. From there, we hope to get as many people into the museum, the artifact room, where you'll see the really nice stuff, the really ancient 105-year-old equipment. We host about approximately 30-odd uniforms on exhibit, all the different uniforms that the Canadians would have worn. Some are naval, some are Air Force, but overall, so you will see a fine collection, probably the finest collection within the province.
And so, Bruce, for you, what got you into learning more and putting all this stuff together about World War I?
Oh, that's a hard question. Well, some would say, Bruce, I started collecting when I was 13 years old. I'm approaching 67. So I've built up an extensive collection. When I was young, many of the First World War veterans were just in their 60s. And many of them offered me a few little token trinkets and things, and I got serious about collecting over time. But some would also jokingly say that, Bruce, you never left your sandbox with your army men. So I suppose that could be a lot of it as well. There's this love of this history, not a glorifying of this history, because I could point out, everyone thinks it's Paris, London, Berlin, the big players. But when you take a drive through small town Manitoba, you go to the different communities like Manitou, Carman, Morden, to name a few. Everyone has a monument dedicated to the children that they lost, who they sent overseas in the Great War and didn't come home. A community might have sent 50 people and 10 don't come back. That had a dramatic impact. And so that is one of the things why I promote the First World War, because you might as well talk about the Trojan Wars, because if any of them were alive today, they'd be in their 120 odd years old. So it's the children of these World War I veterans who are in their 80s and 90s. And those were the ones who fought in World War II. So there's a passion, yes, I would say there's a passion, but also my passion extends to not throwing stats and numbers out, but it's more about showing the material culture, the equipment the soldier wore, used, the shaving kit, the little things that you'll find in the museum, deck of cards, trench checkers, things of that nature. It's the daily, altogether, how would you describe it? As the material culture. I'll sum it up as that. That to me is more important, is showing all the things that they used in the war.
And this is all happening Sunday, August 7th. People are invited to go and check out A Day in the Trenches. Bruce, thank you so much for coming in and telling us about it.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much, Ronnie.